Welcome to the Real CP Show. I'm your host, CP. And today's topic, Asian man, not black man. Massacres, many, at California Dance Studio. Again, today's topic, Asian man, not black man. Massacres, many, at California Dance Studio. Let me read you first from a book called Propaganda that was written several generations ago. I'm just going to read you only a few lines on this, or feature several lines on this. On chapter 1, under Organizing Chaos, the conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in democratic society. Those who manipulate this unseen mechanism of society constitute an invisible government, which is the true ruling power of our country. We are governed, our minds, we are governed, our minds are molded, our taste formed, our ideals suggested, largely by men and women we have never heard of. We are governed, our minds are molded, our taste formed, our ideals suggested, largely by men and numbers of women we have never heard of. See, the thing about this particular topic as well is, of course, it was, or beyond, of course, or it should be, of course, the massacreness of what happened in the California dance studio was very tragic on that, was very tragic. And unfortunately, supremacists being the most masterful, brilliant mental manipulation force that has ever existed, they will utilize tragedy when they want to utilize tragedy. And most of the time, quite a number of people don't even realize when supremacists are using tragedies. You say, what does that have to? You say, wait a minute now. I'm not. I'm not understand. What do you mean that they're using tragedy? Sometimes those are good, legitimate questions, and other times people are trying to be a little smart tail about things, right? And so, what did I do with this? Well, you have to say Asian man. I'm like this because I'm not going to argue. Nothing to argue whatsoever. Because for myself, and I'm sure some other people, but as far as myself, that my patience, especially as I get not just older, but just that more observational mode even more. And you just kind of observe how, unfortunately, that it is quite a number of American Black men and women that don't even realize what is. Yeah, it's coming soon. And even on the horribleness of the massacres that happened in California, where it was about 11 people that their lives were taken by this guy. And I think it was at least about 9 other people that got got shot and was injured on that. So you're talking about at least 20 victims and at least 11 was fatality. And the thing about this, as I was observing, however numbers of main media and however numbers of personnel that made sure when they were talking about this particular male, they would make sure to leave out this was an Asian man and not a black man. Not a black man. And again, you have some personnel that try to play little silly deflectionary tactics. And again, I'm just like this. Because again, I'm not going to even play 0 point no games on this. If this was a black man, the people who know that what I'm talking about, there would have been numbers of Asian political personnel, the ones who know they are, and there would have been however numbers of Asian organizations, the ones who know they are, and however other personnel out there who know they are, and also there would have been even unfortunately numbers of American blacks, right? That would be like, well, it was a sad situation, but it's the humanity. The gullibility of that. It's logical, it should be logical sense to a certain point. Yes, the humanity part. And look how the humanity of how the non-humanity of American blacks for so many amount of generations over and over and over again, and even going to the 21st century, where's the humanity for American blacks that gets up there and lives get removed every day, racial, specifically terrorism profiling against American blacks, other people utilizing, numbers of other cultures who know they are, right? Utilizing the N word against black folks and then try to deflect it back toward American black, which is sickening in itself. And so in this scenario right here, right? Only within the last couple of what? Remember, last couple of for future reference for people who may not know, some people who know already. That's fine. It's not about that. It's about I want to do this show as well for a timepiece purpose. For a timepiece purpose, because the system of supremacy, the most the most awesome mental manipulation force that has ever existed. They know that quite a number of people have extremely, I'm not talking about health wise, but extremely short-term memories on things. Unless the supremacists want to make sure that it is reminded that they want what I read about propaganda and intelligent manipulation of the masses, right? But our minds governed by men and women that we will basically never see our heroes because they're behind the scenes. They're on a different whole level. And so what's interesting part is that only within the last couple of years, right? Uh, Within the last couple of years, when the numbers of political personnel who know they are, be it numbers of blacks, be it numbers of other different cultures as well, who know they are in the political system, besides some exceptions, they made sure to push that anti-Asian bill law through with the quickness and overall time. They made sure to push that anti-Asian bill through quick in overall time. And what was the disgusting the narrative that you had however numbers of Asian numbers of personnel who know they are, however numbers of other personnel who know they are as well, that made sure, this anti-Asian hatred by blacks This is what they try to make it seem like there was black folks running around sitting there just beating down Asian people left and right. And it's like, I don't think so. So they show some little few little things here and there, right? And you say, wait a minute, what kind of person was this? Right? You say, wait a minute, that person don't act quite right. They show a video of the person, don't look like they like it don't it looked like they weren't quite right in the mindset, right? Like something was going on. But but the system, but numbers of Asian personnel, how some numbers of black, how numbers of political personnel, etc., etc. They want to hear all that. They only saw black men. The black man, I call it the Willie Horton effect. They want to make sure portray a black male that's brute, violent, right? He can't do constructive things, right? He only does, illegal substance distribution. He's a thuggish type person. This is all he wants to do, right? This is what they want to portray American black men as, right? And they got that, and they utilize that black pain, right, as a catalyst to push through or utilize black pain in a disturbing way to transpose that to make that seem like that's supposed to be black folks doing heinous things to numbers of Asian people. Golly. When unfortunately, there's numbers of Asian personnel that can't even stand other Asians. Ooh, let me say it again. There's numbers of other Asians that can't stand other Asian personnel, right? And what do people? They don't want to talk about that, right? They don't want to talk about that at all. And I'm like this. Oh, you don't want to. Oh, I'm trying to talk. I'm gonna give you an example. Say somebody's trying to say some nonsensical stuff, and I'm like, I'm not listening to this. You turn the opposite way, and I'm not listening to that. So the number one person, the number one people within the states that has the most anti against is anti-black. The number one group of people within America that has the most hate against them is anti-black, not anti-Asian, not anti-white, not anti-Hispanic, not anti-Judaism, Jewish, whatever you want to call it, not anti-Catholic, not anti-term lifestyle category. The number one people that has the most hate put upon them is American black, anti-black. But numbers of political personnel include however numbers of black political personnel, with few exceptions, right? How other different groups of people, they're like this when hey, what about the American black folks that they're the number one people that has the most hate put upon them? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do about that particular getting a law passed for them? Quietness. And so in this situation with this topic, it is a disgustingness that however numbers of personnel who know they are within various parts of me, I'm talking about the ones who know they are, there are again personnel within however parts of Asian organizations who know they are. And I don't like even saying that generalities without a context. When someone says Asian, it's like people most automatically think it's a certain person, a certain look of a certain Asian person. Like they look at somebody and say, "Oh, that's a Japanese person, that's a Chinese person," and you're like, "No, no." The Asian continent is very big, so you got people from Armenia that will be considered Asian on that, but people don't talk about that. But see, again, it is the game, it is the nonsensical game that people keep playing upon members of numbers of American blacks, and even on this situation with this topic, it was an Asian man, not a black man, that committed these massacres upon other Asians. This was Asian upon Asian hatred. Let's say that again. This was Asian upon Asian hatred. And you got, again, many numbers of articles, numbers of, again, many parts of media, parts of Asian organizations made sure to just utilize, this male, this person. And they made sure to leave out this was an Asian upon Asian hatred. And it's disgusting how when people play this little sinister game, because if this was a black man that did that, oh my goodness, there would have been all types of different types of Asian organizations, numbers of Asian political personnel, the ones who know they are. There may be some sellout American black folks, and however numbers of people from whatever different cultures, whatever it is. Oh, we got to do something about this anti-Asian by numbers of black folks. Even though who's the number one person who commits the most crimes upon numbers of Asian personnel? Personnel within a predominant culture. Ali. It's embarrassing that when you observe numbers, quite a number of American blacks that can't even get that in the skull part is look at many are getting played because there is no logical response, only deflection response when you say, wait a minute. It's true. If this would have been a American black male that committed the massacres of Asian personnel, there would have been you know what to pay upon the American black man. Right? Let me sit there and show you something here. Because again, I do this as a timepiece purpose. Give me one second. Let me show something. Let me show you something. Give me one moment here. Oh, let me show this right quick first. Now remember this, right? Excuse me. Let me take one of those things off here. And violence against Asians. Mm. And violence against Asians. Let me play that again. I gotta play that again. Let me play it again. And violence against Asians. Where is the end violence against American blacks? Because when you say Asians is very generic. It's not just somebody some person that they think is Asian, Chinese, Japanese, Indonesian, right? Sri Lanka, Burma or Myanmar, Bangladesh, India. There's other different people also that would consider Asians that come to America, but many people don't want to talk about that. But let me sit there and show you just a quick piece on something for a second.
This morning, harrowing new details as authorities try to piece together what led to the senseless killing of 11 people at a dance studio in Monterey Park, California. Investigators combing through evidence and scouring the home of the suspected gunman, identified by authorities as 72-year-old Hu Can Tran.
Mm, mm, mm. I must play that again. I must play that again.
This morning, harrowing new details as authorities try to piece together what led to the senseless killing of 11 people at a dance studio in Monterey Park, California. Investigators combing through evidence and scouring the home of the suspected gunman, identified by authorities as 72-year-old Hu Can Tran.
72 years old, Who Can Tran. Not a black man, but a particular Asian man who committed the massacres upon those 11 innocent other Asian personnel and took their lives with the boom boom equipment and sit there and boom boomed 9 other people. So around about 20 people again uh, that were victims of this particular Asian personnel who showed anti-Asian against Asian hatred. And you got most people that would not bring it up. Let me sit there and show you the picture again of this particular person. Yes. Does that look black to you? So who can trans? Does that sound like an American black man name? And this is why I wanted to make sure I put this a picture as a timepiece purpose on this. Let me play it. Let me play this again. Who can trans? 72 years old, Asian man who took the life of 11 other Asian primary personnel. And I'm sitting there looking at, let me look at something for a second. Oh, and when one of the, however numbers of news places and other places, they would, well, I was reading something the other day, and there's a contradictory because one minute they were saying that he had no criminal background. And then you read about a little bit more, and then I was looking at where actually let me read something right now for you. It says Tran had a limited criminal history. Only a 1990 arrest for unlawful possession of a firearm. Which one is it? Does he not have a criminal history? Whatever that's supposed to mean, because how many people just don't get caught doing criminality? So in this situation, the whole point is that the contradictory because he's saying he did not have a criminal history, and then at the same time, I'm reading this. It says Tran had a limited criminal history. What do you mean limited? And they make it seem like that he just stole some bubble gum or something, right? He stole some bubble gum. That's what it makes it seem like. But it says Tran had a limited criminal history, only a 1990 arrest for unlawful possession of a firearm. And if this was an American black man that did that, again, it would have been, what to pay upon numbers of American black males, right? So it was really disgusting how they did that. But again, in violence against Asians, and most people don't talk about, especially numbers of American blacks, they don't talk about what do you mean Asians? What does an Asian person look like? There's Afro-Asiatic people on that. So what do you mean in violence against Asians? See, this is that disgustingality, but brilliant tactical tactics under the doctrine of supremacists. The most awesome mental manipulation force that has ever existed. Supremacy. Because again, if this would have been a black man, they'd been poster board him all over media, newspapers, social media, all over the place. However numbers of news media, however numbers of articles, however numbers of Asian organizations, however numbers of Asian political personnel, the ones who know what I'm talking about, however numbers of personnel within predominant culture. You probably have most likely some even within numbers of American black culture who don't even know like they get used the majority of their time. If that would have been a black man, if as for Asians, and they never talk about
This morning, harrowing new details as authorities try to piece together what led to the senseless killing of 11 people at a dance studio in Monterey Park, California. Investigators combing through evidence and scouring the home of the suspected gunman, identified by authorities as 72-year-old Hu Can Tran.
now this cannot be played enough. So I have got to play that because again, this is timepiece purpose on this. how they made sure not to consistent of various types of news media, main media, high numbers of Asian organizations, high numbers of Asian political personnel. I'm talking about the ones who know I'm talking about, high numbers of personnel within the Padang-based culture. How the list goes on. How people would make sure not to say this was an Asian man that committed an anti-Asian upon Asian hatred. I mean, this Asian man took the life of 11 Asian personnel, basically, and then nine other people, Asian personnel overall, basically, right, that he could have fatally boom boom. They got injured, or they got injured and stuff like that because of the boom boom. So 20 something Asian type personnel basically uh, lives, or should I say, the family and friends, except their lives are forever changed now because of this particular Asian personnel who committed acts of hatred upon other Asians. But again, it's they made sure not to talk about that. Various parts of media, main medianess, numbers again, Asian organizations, the ones who know they are, numbers of personnel within Padang-based culture, however numbers of other cultures, however numbers of ethnicities. How you get the point. People made sure not to sit there and act like the wolf is not in front of the TV. They made sure not to act like there's a wolf in front of the TV. This big old giant. And then he sit there and went to another dance, another ballroom or dance room, and luckily that this particular guy who was there, who they interviewed, and people call him heroic and stuff like that. I'm sitting there saying, man, this man sitting there telling you, look, man, this man, he didn't feel heroic, man. I'm sure he was shaking. No, he was nervous all over the place, right? So, however, he was wrestling with the that particular Asian guy, and lucky he's able to get that boom boom piece of equipment away from him. And then he's telling me, get out, get out. And the guy was kind of looking at him like, other Asian guy looking at him like, man, he was thinking about, should he go ahead and try him out a little bit? And he left. And what happens with that particular Asian man who left? He self deleted himself inside some kind of van. So again, I just wanted to um, do a quick show on this one because it is a sinister thing. People want to talk about end violence against Asians, but most people, different cultures, backgrounds, political personality, etc., most except very few exceptions, want to talk about end violence against American blacks, who are the number one uh, anti against and within the country is anti-black. Number one statistics, and you still got numbers of black American black personnel, the ones in the overall that still haven't figured that out, and high numbers of black political personnel, the ones who know who they are, the addict they scared to sit there and say, "Hey, what's going on? We need a American anti-black bill. You give one to anti-Asians, but you can't give one to sit there who earned it for generations of American black pain. And also, what about numbers of Asian personnel who have sit there and who have did hatred and still do ones who know I'm talking about do hatred to the American black? How many videos out there about numbers of Asian personnel showing outright hatred of American blacks? And you know various parts of uh, black political person who know they are. They don't want to talk about that. You certainly don't have numbers of Asian personnel, with very few exceptions, right? But overall, you don't hear Asian people talking about, yes, there's a problem with numbers of Asian personnel showing hatred to black folks too. You see how that goes, right? Even though again, there's other Asians who can't stand other Asians. There's number of other Asians who hate other Asians. But again, most people don't want to talk about this. But if it's a black man that does something to an Asian, now they want to post board it up. Oh, that's why you need to have a talk to the American, black people about the anti-Asian. Who are you talking about for real? How about that person have the talk to numbers of Asian personnel about numbers of them hatred toward American blacks? That little silly deflectionary tactic. And unfortunately, I understand what, well, anyway, I don't understand it, don't need to understand it because it's so ridiculously that because it's beyond logical sense. And they know that quite a number of American blacks are scared to sit there and checkmate numbers of Asian personnel. I'm not talking about reactionary. I'm talking about saying, look, demanding who needs to demand to get anti-black bill passed. It's that it is really that simple. So I just really wanted to do a timepiece purpose uh, on this show today as a timepiece purpose on that because it was a few years ago there was another Asian man that sit there and show anti-Asian hatred toward some other Asians when it was a church or something like that where he took the life of another Asian man, and I think he boom boom some other different people as well. This is a few years ago, and how many people have forgotten about that in California as well? Some people remember that, and some people never even heard of it on that. So again, I thank you for tuning in and listening to the Real CP Show.